The night she looked at me like I wasn't supposed to leave was the night everything I had spent years pretending not to feel came crashing down at once, because some looks don't ask questions and don't beg, they simply stand there, quiet and heavy, daring you to walk away and live with the damage later. I had known Emily Carter almost my entire adult life, long enough for her to stop being just my best friend's little sister and start becoming a presence I had to consciously ignore, and that night, standing in the dim glow of the porch light with my bag already slung over my shoulder, her eyes caught mine with a softness that felt like a goodbye I hadn't earned, the kind that sinks into your chest and stays there long after the door closes behind you. Before the story pulls you deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, take a moment to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs a reminder, and subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this belong to all of us. I met Emily years earlier through her brother Daniel, the kind of friend who shows up without asking and stays even when things get uncomfortable, the one who helped me survive my lowest years without ever making me feel like a burden. Back then Emily was just a blur at the edge of gatherings, always polite, always observant, with a laugh that seemed to arrive a second after everyone else's, as if she was processing the moment before allowing herself to feel it. Life was messy for me then, full of unfinished dreams, late-night jobs, and an internal promise that I would never complicate the one solid friendship I had by crossing lines that couldn't be erased. So I built invisible walls and called them boundaries, convincing myself that maturity meant denying anything that threatened the fragile balance I had worked so hard to maintain. Time has a quiet way of changing people while convincing them nothing has changed at all, and somewhere between shared holidays, hospital visits, and late drives through empty streets, Emily stopped being just Daniel's sister and became someone who understood the parts of me I never explained out loud. She noticed when I was tired before I admitted it, remembered the small details I thought no one cared about, and listened in a way that made me feel seen without feeling exposed. I told myself it was coincidence, that she was simply kind, that reading into it would only lead to regret, but denial doesn't erase truth, it just delays the moment you're forced to face it. The struggle wasn't just my feelings, it was the weight of loyalty, the fear of ruining something good, and the unspoken rule that some loves are off-limits no matter how gently they arrive. I watched her grow into herself, watched her navigate heartbreaks and ambitions with quiet strength, and every time I thought about stepping closer, I imagined Daniel's face, imagined the possibility of losing the one person who had never walked away from me. So I chose distance, convincing myself that leaving town for work was the responsible choice, the adult decision, the kind of sacrifice people make when they want to do the right thing even if it hurts. That final evening was supposed to be simple, a quick goodbye before dawn, a handshake, maybe a hug, and then silence, but simplicity dissolves when emotions are involved. The house was quiet, the air thick with unspoken words, and when Emily stepped outside with me, her presence felt heavier than my suitcase. She didn't reach for me, didn't block my path, she just stood there, eyes glistening with something she refused to name, and in that moment I realized she had been braver than me all along, carrying her feelings without demanding anything in return, trusting me to make the right choice even if it meant breaking her own heart. Leaving felt like tearing something out of myself, and the road out of town was longer than it had ever been, every mile echoing with the memory of that look, the one that asked nothing and said everything. The days that followed were filled with routine, work, and forced distractions, but no amount of busyness could drown out the quiet question lodged in my chest about whether doing the right thing and doing the safe thing were actually the same. I tried to convince myself that pain fades, that people move on, that my absence would eventually become just another chapter in her life, but late at night, when honesty has nowhere to hide, I knew I had chosen fear over faith. Months passed, then years, and life unfolded the way it always does, unevenly and without apology. Daniel and I stayed in touch, though something unspoken hovered between us, and through him I learned that Emily had built a life filled with purpose and resilience, that she smiled more, traveled, and found her footing in ways that made me proud and unbearably sad at the same time. Growth doesn't erase loss, it simply teaches you how to carry it better, and I carried her absence like a quiet scar, invisible to everyone but me. Change came unexpectedly, as it often does, with a phone call that reminded me how fragile time really is, drawing me back to the place I had run from under the guise of responsibility. Walking into that familiar space felt like stepping into a memory, every corner echoing with who we used to be, and when I saw Emily again, older, stronger, and still unmistakably herself, something in me softened in a way it never had before. There was no dramatic reunion, no instant resolution, just two people standing in the aftermath of choices made and unmade, both aware that life had shaped us but hadn't erased what once connected us. What changed wasn't the past, it was my understanding of it, the realization that love doesn't always demand perfection, it asks for honesty, courage, and the willingness to risk discomfort for something meaningful. I learned that protecting others from potential pain can sometimes be a way of protecting ourselves from vulnerability, and that the lines we draw to keep life simple can also keep it painfully small. Whether or not the future offered us a second chance, acknowledging the truth freed something in both of us, allowing healing to begin where silence had once lived. If this story is reaching into something you felt but never said, if it reminds you of the people you didn't fight hard enough for or the moments you wish you had been braver, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video, because your engagement helps stories like this reach the hearts that need them most. And before the ending, leave a comment telling us about the one person you never really forgot, the one you still think about when the world gets quiet. In the end, the night she looked at me like I wasn't supposed to leave didn't haunt me because of what I lost, it stayed with me because it taught me what it means to truly see someone and be seen in return, and even when paths don't unfold the way we imagine, those moments of raw, honest connection leave behind a kind of hope that time can't erase, reminding us that it's never too late to choose courage, to honor our feelings, and to believe that some love stories, even unfinished ones, still shape us into better, braver people.